For those of you who don't know, Azur Promilia will be hosting an offline test sometime this month for a very small amount of people. Now, if you're wondering why on earth you've never heard about this information, it's because this test is a China-only test, and it's also under an NDA, which means that most likely you are not going to see any gameplay from any of these tests. Now, there is always that likelihood that we will see some leaks about it, but in case you're wondering, I will not be covering any leaks on this channel. But in this video, I wanted to discuss with you guys the potential implications that this test could have on us actually seeing a trailer or even a beta for the game. So with that said, let's get into the video. Hey, what is up guys, it's Mordant. Now, if you're interested in news videos, discussion videos, lore videos, challenge videos, and sometimes guides on any of the games that you see on screen right now, then I think you should actually consider subscribing to the channel. A large majority of you who watch my videos aren't actually subscribed, and I would greatly appreciate if you guys would actually just take out a little bit of your time to actually subscribe to the channel. But with that said, let's get back to the video. So why exactly is this offline test important for us in the global audience? Well, if you look at the banner that promoted this offline test, one of the key points on that banner is that right after the test, all of the players will get a chance to talk with the developers face to face and share their opinions on all of the things that they've played. Now, for any company, I personally believe, to hold an offline test, they would most probably have implemented at least 50% of the core idea that makes up the game. And if that's the case, then the opinion of every single person who plays in that test is going to matter a lot. If a lot of people who play that test like what they see, if there aren't that many criticisms, then I personally believe that within 6 months to a year, we will then see another trailer or even another beta. But if the offline testers, every single person who tries out the game, does not like what they see, or they have a lot of reservations for a lot of the things that they're seeing implemented in the game at the time, there is a very strong likelihood that the game will get delayed. And if it gets delayed, we'll probably see a 2026 or a 2027 release. And in my very honest opinion, I don't think this is a bad thing. It's much better for the game to be delayed and actually come out good than to be rushed out the door and come out as trash. We already have Ananta and NTE and probably YUA all lined up, but all of these games that I just mentioned are all urban open world games. Azur Promilia, just like Genshin Impact, is a game that is not set in a modern world, which in my opinion gives it a leg up and also gives it the luxury of not having to rush out the door. They can take their time to actually implement everything that they want to implement in the game and not having to worry about some competition coming to sweep the rug out from under them. But that's just my honest opinion. Now, there's one other thing I want to talk about, which is going to tie directly to one of my previous videos that I had made on Ananta. Now, it's been common knowledge for most people in the gacha space that anytime any Chinese company gets a license for their game, they normally have a period of about 1 year to actually release their game. Now the question is, does Azur Promilia actually have their license? Now, when I did a little bit of digging, now mind you, this is not at all intensive digging, it's just some very surface level digging, I found that Azur Promilia technically does have their license. But this license was gotten in 2023, and it also was not under the name of Azur Promilia, it was under a different name entirely. So the question is, does that mean that Azur Promilia has its license already and could release at any time? I personally don't think so. Now, there are two things that I think could happen here. One of them is that Azur Promilia will have to get a new license under the name of Azur Promilia because, like I already mentioned, the license that they currently have is not under the name of Azur Promilia. That's one thing. Another theory that I have is that the license that they have could actually just be renamed to become Azur Promilia's license, and then they would just need to keep on renewing it, just like I had said in my previous video, in order to be able to then release the game. I personally don't have any idea the inner workings that go into all of these things, so all I can do is just speculate. But for now, like I always say in all of my videos, keep your expectations low. The lower your expectations, the less likely you are to actually get disappointed. And this will smoothly lead me over to one other thing that a lot of people will probably be asking at this point in time. What are the specifications for the game? What kind of hardware are you going to need to actually run this game? Now, when I made my video talking about whether Genshin Impact or Wuthering Waves would come to the Nintendo Switch 2, I made a particular comment. Games that are made on the Unity engine tend to not really have that high of a requirement in order to run, while games that run on the Unreal Engine, on the other hand, normally will have a very high specification requirement. And Azur Promilia is actually a game that is being developed in the Unity engine, so it's very likely that it's not going to be too demanding on all of your hardware. But please don't take this as law. There has been no official information talking about the specifications of the game, and even these people who are going to do the offline test, they most likely are not going with any of their own hardware. Manjuu, the company that's making this game, is probably going to be the ones that are providing the hardware that you need. It's basically a test in a controlled environment with hardware that the company knows can actually run the game. So just calm down and wait a little bit more. We will, when the game is finally ready to actually launch, get more information on the kind of hardware that will actually run the game. But with all that being said, I think that's where I'll bring this video to a close. Let me hear you guys' thoughts about everything that I've talked about in the video. Do you think that the game is going to get delayed because of the feedback that they get from the people who are actually going to try out the game? When also do you guys think that the game is going to release? I'm actually very curious to hear all of these opinions. Also, I have not been making a lot of Azur Promilia videos, so I'm trying to get ideas for what kind of videos people would like to see. I was thinking of making a video talking about the different characters, like going over their backgrounds and all of that. It's something that I used to do for Wuthering Waves when it was still in its pre-beta stages, so let me know if you guys are actually interested in any videos like that down in the comments. But with that said, thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Also subscribe for news videos, challenge videos, discussion videos, and sometimes guides on Genshin Impact, Wuthering Waves, Azur Promilia, Ananta, NTE, and a ton of other games that I plan on covering from time to time. Also join the hideout on Discord, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace, guys.